Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's step into a massive alternate history thought experiment today. I want you to imagine a world where the absolute biggest, most anticipated sporting event on the entire planet just vanishes, like literally disappears right before our eyes.
We're diving headfirst into the void here. Think about a massive global event ending, but, without an actual ending. Ask yourself, what really happens when the history we all just totally expect to witness reaches the absolute edge and then simply stops?
Part 1. The biggest game. Now, before we can go and break reality, we really have to understand the sheer scale of what we're breaking. I mean, very few things can capture the attention of almost 8 billion people at the exact same time. Sure, we have moon landings, Olympic opening ceremonies, royal coronations, all that stuff. But the World Cup Final? It's just different. It's the climax of years of dreams. It's an event so massive, it literally forces the entire globe to just pause for 90 minutes. Entire nations are basically holding their collective breath. Because you see, this game does so much more than just award a shiny piece of metal. It doesn't just decide who wins a tournament. It decides who will be remembered forever. We're talking about a single goal or maybe a single mistake, instantly minting national heroes, or on the flip side, haunting entire countries for generations. It's this wild, share of human experience where borders and politics just completely fade away.
Part 2. The timeline breaks.
Okay, so I want you to shift your perspective for a second. We are officially leaving reality behind. Let's step meticulously through the agonizing minutes of confusion as the timeline completely breaks down. Picture this. Minute 1, tournament officials start receiving these urgent, silent messages. Minute 10, the giant stadium countdown clock reaches 0, but no one emerges from the tunnel. Minute 11, every single giant screen inside the stadium goes completely black. And then, hours later, the unthinkable happens. The match is officially abandoned. Due to extraordinary circumstances, today's World Cup final will not take place. Imagine the eerie, surreal silence that falls over that stadium, echoing all the way across the globe. Tens of thousands of fans sitting there in the stands and billions more in living rooms, bars, city squares, they all slowly realize what they're actually reading. The game is canceled. There are no cheers, there aren't even any boos. It's just total, paralyzing disbelief. The energy of the entire planet just completely evaporates.
Part 3. Without a champion.
So now we're in the immediate fallout of a tournament with absolutely no winner. And remember, you can't just reschedule this stuff. International calendars and domestic leagues are locked in years in advance. There is literally zero room for a postponement. The contrast here is just jarring. We fully expect a trophy lifted, a champion crowned, a hero minted. But instead, the ultimate prize in football remains locked away. We're left with an untouched display case, a literal blank space in the record books, and finalists who end up totally forgotten by history.
Just take a second to really focus on the utter devastation for those players. They're sitting in the locker room, boots still tied, jerseys on, ready for war. They've just lost the biggest opportunity of their entire lives, a moment they sacrificed decades of birthdays and holidays for, and they didn't even get to touch the ball. They become something football has never seen before, the finalists who never actually played the final.
Part 4. The butterfly effect.
Now, this cancellation cascades into some profound long-term historical shifts. History doesn't just change on the pitch, It changes everywhere. This single missing match acts like a giant boulder thrown right into a quiet lake. Think about it. Because there's no final to define the season, those big annual awards go endlessly undecided. And because the awards are undecided, massive blockbuster transfers get blocked. Scouts never get to witness that one star-making performance on the world's biggest stage. Then, because those transfers fail, managers are suddenly getting fired in all the ensuing chaos. And ultimately, future legends of the game are left uninspired by a hero they literally never got to see.
But honestly, the craziest part isn't even the logistics. It's the unseen consequences. Tomorrow's newspaper front pages are delayed, totally replaced by utter confusion. Future sports documentaries are going to lack their triumphant endings. They'll just have to awkwardly fade to black. Those iconic generational sports photos, never captured. And maybe saddest of all, somewhere in the world, a 10-year-old kid is staring at a television showing an empty stadium, and they never feel that spark of magic. They never find the inspiration to go out and pick up a football.
The missing final absolutely becomes football's greatest what-if. It's a fascinating paradox, really. This unplayed, non-existent match would actually end up becoming more famous than many actual finals. fans would just spark endless passionate debates about who would have scored first, or who would have clutched up and won on penalties. And the real kicker? Because it never actually happened, no one can ever prove those theories wrong. It's the ultimate eternal debate.
Naturally, the very infrastructure of the sport would have to fundamentally change to prepare for the impossible. We are talking stricter, almost paranoid contingency plans, unprecedented levels of stadium security. Organizers would seriously have to prepare backup venues years in advance. Just imagine these massive stadiums sitting totally empty, fully staffed, just waiting for a disaster that might never even come. And underneath the whole shebang, you'd have this deep, underlying anxiety among broadcasters who are just absolutely terrified of dead air.
The psychology of the fans shifts completely too. Before kickoff at the very next World Cup, the core question is no longer just, hey, who's going to win? It gets replaced by this fragile, lingering fear. Will it actually happen? Viewers suddenly realize that the history they're about to witness could simply break without warning. That absolute certainty we all rely on, poof, completely disappears.
Which brings us to a pretty profound conclusion. History doesn't make promises. It offers possibilities. We walk around every day just assuming that legendary, historic moments are totally guaranteed, right? We think they happen because, well, they simply always have. But in reality, they rely on thousands of tiny, invisible threads holding everything perfectly together at the exact right moment.
So I want to leave you with this thought. What else do we take for granted that could just disappear tomorrow? This butterfly effect, it isn't just about football. It's a massive reminder of how fragile our shared reality truly is. If you've enjoyed going down this rabbit hole with me on this explainer, I'd love to hear your own theories down in the comments. Thanks for joining me, and until next time, keep exploring the possibilities.